The 4 fluid has been poisoned. Maya Williams' voice sliced through the still air of the pediatric ward like a siren. All motion stopped. Nurses looked up from charts. A monitor let out a shrill warning tone, and little Ava Langston lay eerily still on the hospital bed. Her tiny chest rose in shallow gasps. Victor Langston jumped up from his seat, rushing to his daughter's side. "What did you say?" he barked. "That 4, Maya pointed, trembling. "I smelled something off, chemical, like insecticide." Right after it started dripping, her breathing changed. "She's just tired." Clarissa Langston snapped as she entered the room, wrapped in silk like she'd walked off a fashion shoot. Her eyes looked puffy from crying, but the tears glistened too perfectly. "You're scaring everyone for no reason." Victor looked down at Ava. She's turning pale, her lips. "Jesus, she's not breathing right." "I told you." Maya pleaded. "Please, someone get a doctor." Dr. Olivia Crane stormed in with a resident behind her. "What is going on in here? Why are vitals spiking?" "She's crashing." The nurse beside the bed called, pulse weak, beep falling. Dr. Crane rushed forward, examined Ava, then bent to sniff the 4. Her eyes narrowed. "Cut the line now," she barked. The resident quickly disconnected the 4 and switched in a clean saline flush. "What is it?" Victor demanded, clenching his fists. If you feel for this character, give this video a like. Share in the comments where you are watching from on BUP Stories. You might discover someone nearby watching too. And do not forget to subscribe to BUP Stories for more stories. Dr. Crane hesitated. "It's not the prescribed solution. It's been tampered with." A gasp rippled through the room. Then Clarissa's eyes widened in faux horror. "Oh my God," she said it. She pointed at Maya. "She said it was poison because she put it there." "Huh? What?" Maya blinked. "You can't be serious." Clarissa didn't hesitate. "Search her bag. She probably still has the syringe." A nurse stepped toward Maya's backpack sitting on the floor. Before Maya could react, Clarissa snatched it up, dug through it, and pulled out a capped syringe and a small glass vial. Both half-used. "There!" Clarissa shouted, holding them up. "She planted it." Probably thought if she made a scene, no one would question her. Maya froze. "That's not mine. I swear to God, I've never seen those before." "You're a liar," Clarissa hissed. "You wanted attention. You thought if you played the hero, someone would feel sorry for the poor little black maid. Make a headline out of it. Brave caregiver saves billionaire's child. You're disgusting." The air turned cold. Victor's eyes darkened. "Did you do this?" Maya's voice shook. "Mr. Langston, I didn't. I'd never hurt her. I love Ava. I was trying to stop whoever did this." Security entered, summoned by the emergency code. "Officers," Dr. Crane said, her tone clipped. "There's evidence the caregiver tampered with the child's 4. She needs to be detained until we complete a full investigation." "No, please." Maya struggled as the 2 officers stepped forward and grabbed her by the arms. "You're making a mistake. I'm being framed." "You're being dramatic," Clarissa said, dabbing her tears with a tissue. "I just hope Ava makes it through this." "No." Everyone's eyes turned toward the crying stepmother. Her shoulders shook. Her makeup smudged. The scene was perfect. "Let's go." One officer grunted, pulling Maya toward the hallway. "You'll explain downtown." "No, listen to me. Check the hallway cameras. Please." "Why would I call it out if I was the one who did it?" Victor looked torn, but silent. Maya's pleas echoed down the corridor as they dragged her away. And then just before they reached the elevator, a voice called out, "Stop." Angela, the older nurse, hurried toward them, her badge swinging, laptop clutched in her arms. I pulled the hallway cam, she said breathlessly. This was recorded an hour ago. She turned the screen toward Victor. Everyone leaned in. There it was. Clarissa entering Ava's room alone. Taking a syringe from her purse, injecting the fluid with a steady hand, then tossing the used vial into a trash bin. Silence. Maya stood frozen, breathless, arms still held by the officers. Victor stepped back, his face pale. Clarissa blinked rapidly. This is edited. You think I'd harm my own stepdaughter? You already did, Angela said coldly. Clarissa lunged for Maya in a flash of fury. You think you're better than me? But a guard restrained her instantly. Ma'am, you're coming with us. You'll regret this. Clarissa shouted as she was hauled away. She's just a maid. You're throwing everything away for nothing. Victor said nothing, his eyes locked with Maya's full of regret, guilt, and something else. Trust. I'm so sorry, he whispered. Mia nodded slowly, her voice raw. I wasn't going to let her die. Later that night, Ava stirred and whispered faintly. Maya, I'm here, baby, Mia said softly, tears slipping down her cheeks. You smell like Grandma's garden, Ava murmured. Mia laughed gently. That's how you know I'm the real deal. Victor watched from the doorway, still and silent. He had nearly lost everything. And thanks to the woman no one believed, he hadn't. The sun had barely risen when Victor Langston stepped into the hospital's quiet atrium, his phone to his ear and his thoughts a whirlwind. No, I want a full audit. Every single dosage Ava has received in the last 30 days. I don't care who you have to wake up, make it happen. He hung up and stared out the tall glass window. Palm trees swayed gently in the morning breeze. Beverly Hills was just beginning to stir. But Victor's world had already turned upside down. He had trusted Clarissa, slept beside her, let her read bedtime stories to his daughter, and she had tried to kill Ava. Behind him, footsteps approached. Maya, now cleared of charges, walked softly, her expression unreadable. She had showered and changed into fresh scrubs provided by the hospital, but the bruises on her wrists from last night's restraint were still faintly visible. Victor turned, his voice quiet. I owe you more than I can say. You owe Ava, Maya said gently, her voice still raw from crying. Not me. Victor nodded slowly. Still, thank you for not giving up, even when no one listened. Maya's eyes flicked to him. You didn't believe me either. He winced. I know. Silence fell between them. Not hostile, just heavy. Then Maya sighed. What happens now? Clarissa is being held. Victor said. She's hired a lawyer, of course. But that footage? He shook his head. She'll be facing attempted murder charges. Will Ava be safe here? Maya asked, glancing toward the ICU wing. Victor hesitated. I don't know. Maya crossed her arms. Then maybe she shouldn't stay. That idea hadn't occurred to him yet, but now it took root. Every shadow in that hospital suddenly felt deeper, every smile from a nurse more suspicious. He had money, power, but neither had stopped Clarissa. And what if there were more hands in this? What if she hadn't worked alone? I'll look into private security, and I'll have Ava transferred as soon as she's stable, Victor said. Maya nodded once, then added. You should also have them test Clarissa's fingerprints on the syringe she planted in my bag. They already are. His voice turned hard. I'm going to make sure she's not just arrested, she's exposed. People need to know who she really is. She played the victim too well, Maya said. Almost had me doubting myself. Victor looked at her. She fooled all of us. Maya lowered her gaze. Not Ava. That little girl never warmed to her. She only ever asked for her mama or me. Victor's eyes softened. She loves you. I love her. Another pause filled with more meaning than either could put into words. Angela approached then, her steps tired but firm. Maya, They want to speak with you again. Internal review. They're asking how long you've been suspicious, whether you had any idea something like this might happen. Maya sighed. Of course they are. Angela frowned. They should be giving you a medal. Victor cut in. She's not answering anything until my lawyer is present. Angela raised her brows but said nothing, nodding once before walking away. Maya gave Victor a sideways glance. You're assigning me a lawyer now? I'm protecting my daughter, he said simply. And the person who saved her. Maya didn't argue. They walked back toward the room in silence. At Ava's bedside, the little girl was asleep again. The soft rise and fall of her chest, no longer frantic, but calm. The new 4-line shimmered in the morning light, attached to a monitored pump, and triple-checked every 10 minutes. Outside the glass door, 2 armed guards stood post. She's stronger than she looks, Maya whispered. So are you, Victor replied. Later that afternoon, a formal press statement was released by the hospital, deliberately vague, citing a breach in safety protocol and an ongoing investigation. But the news had already leaked, as news always did when it involved billionaires and near tragedies. By evening, the headlines had hit. Stepmother accused in poison plot against billionaire's child. Caregiver's courage saves Ava Langston. Inside the suspicion that rocked Beverly Hills Hospital, Maya avoided the media vans swarming the parking lot. Victor had insisted she stay off the record. No interviews, no press. Not until they understood the whole picture. For now, she stayed in the hospital, eating granola bars from vending machines and taking cat naps in the waiting room chairs, refusing to go home. When Victor finally returned that night with his lawyer and 2 security consultants, he found Maya standing at Ava's window again. They want to assign her a personal nurse and a 24-hour watch, he said. 2 agents vetted and armed. Nothing gets in or out without clearance. Maya nodded. They also recommended a therapist for Ava. Maya asked. For you, Victor said. She blinked. You went through hell, he added. People betrayed you, accused you. That leaves a mark. Maya didn't answer. She looked at Ava's face. Peaceful now under the gentle glow of the machines. I don't have time for therapy. She needs me. Victor's voice dropped. You matter, too. Maya turned to him slowly. Why are you being kind to me now? He didn't blink. Because I see you now. For a brief moment, they stood in mutual understanding, both having failed and fought in different ways. And somewhere between exhaustion and relief, Maya exhaled deeply. I'll stay until she wakes up fully, she said. Then we talk about what's next. Victor nodded. The hospital corridor outside was filled with footsteps, buzzers, and the low hum of machinery. But in that small room, there was only quiet. And for the first time since the poison entered Ava's vein, peace. 3 days passed. Ava Langston was recovering slowly but surely. Her color had returned, her breath steady, and her smile had started to peek out again. The hospital staff tiptoed around her room with renewed vigilance, and the once dismissive tone of Dr. Crane had shifted to professional deference. But the air was still thick with tension. Something unspoken lingered beneath the surface. Maya stayed close, sleeping in a recliner near Ava's bed, helping with every change of linens and humming old gospel lullabies when the little girl's dreams grew restless. She barely left the ward. Security details stood on either side of the door 24/7, and every medication was logged and double-checked. Victor, meanwhile, lived in a state of constant motion. Calls, meetings, legal updates. He had been quiet since their last conversation. Not cold, not distant, just burdened. Late one evening, while Ava was watching cartoons with half-lidded eyes, Maya stepped into the corridor. Angela was seated at the nurse's station, sipping coffee from a thermos she'd probably been refilling since the 90s. You look like you haven't slept in a year. Angela quipped softly. Maya chuckled faintly. I'll sleep when she can run again. Angela leaned closer. I heard something today. Maya's eyes narrowed. What? Hospital admin is trying to cover it all up. Not just Clarissa, everything. They don't want the public to know how easily someone tampered with meds under their watch. They're talking about pinning it on a security lapse and calling it a one-time event. Maya frowned. They're still hiding. Power does that, Angela said. But here's the kicker. They're not investigating who let Clarissa access the four-room. No badge, no clearance. She shouldn't have been able to get in. Maya stood straighter. You think someone helped her? Angela looked both ways, then nodded slightly. A name came up. Someone in pharmacy logistics. Shift overlap, but no one saying anything. Maya didn't that night. As Victor returned from a meeting with the DA's office, Maya intercepted him in the hallway. She didn't act alone, she said bluntly. Victor blinked. What? Clarissa. Someone gave her access to that four-room. The pharmacy doesn't open for civilians. Not without help. Victor rubbed his temple. You think someone on the inside was involved? I don't think. I know. Victor's face hardened. Then we find them. Maya hesitated. They'll never give us that info willingly. Admin's circling wagons. We need another way in. Victor exhaled. All right. What do you suggest? I still have my old badge. The staff lounge is connected to the system servers. They keep digital records of all clearance activity. If someone opened that four-room, there's a log. Victor eyed her. You're talking about going behind hospital security. I'm talking about saving Ava from whoever's still hiding behind that badge. Maya met his gaze. Are you in or not? He didn't hesitate. Let's do it. The plan came together quickly. Angela agreed to stall the head nurse during rounds. Victor would use his name to authorize temporary server access if questioned, and Maya would do the digging. At 2:13 a.m., Mia slipped into the staff lounge. Her heart pounded in rhythm with the beeping monitors down the hall. She logged in using a generic terminal, navigated to the back-end entry logs, and scrolled. There it was. Access at 7:58 p.m. the night of the poisoning. Pharmacy Storage Room 3. Clearance approved by Badge ID, D. Norville. Maya's blood ran cold. Dana Norville, Assistant Logistics Officer, young, quiet, always friendly, the kind of person no one noticed, which made her perfect. A creak from the hallway made Maya spin. Victor stepped in, holding up his phone. I had my tech team trace her call logs. You were right. Clarissa and Norville were in contact. Texts deleted, but the metadata is there. Maya stood, jaw set. We need to confront her. But Victor shook his head. We do it right. Let the authorities handle this. No more risks. I'm not worried about me, Maya said. I'm worried about who else she's working with. Suddenly, from behind them, a voice chimed in. You should be. They turned. Dana Norville stood in the doorway, arms folded, expression unreadable. Her tone was calm. Too calm. You people just don't know when to leave well enough alone. Dana said. Maya stepped forward. You gave her access. Why? Dana shrugged. You think people like me ever get noticed? I make this place run. No thanks. No raises. Clarissa promised to buy out my life. She said the kid would die anyway, that it would be peaceful. Victor's face twisted in disgust. You poisoned a child for money. Dana's expression turned bitter. You think this place cares about kids like her or me? She was just leverage in your boardroom games. You're done, Victor said, pulling out his phone. Security's on the way. But Dana didn't run. She just raised her hands slowly and smiled. Good, she said. Let's all burn together. The guards arrived seconds later. Dana was taken into custody, expression unchanged, not a tear, not a word of regret. Back in Ava's room, Maya sat by the girl's bed, holding her hand as dawn crept through the blinds. Victor stood in the doorway, this time not as a titan of industry, but as a man who'd nearly lost everything. "You saved her," he said again softly. Maya didn't look up. "We're not done saving her yet." 3 days after Dana Norville's arrest, a strange stillness settled over the hospital. The press buzz had dulled to background noise. The paparazzi had mostly moved on, and Clarissa's name had become less of a headline and more of a cautionary whisper. But inside the pediatric wing, where Ava Langston lay quietly recovering, the storm had not truly passed. Maya Williams sat beside Ava, reading softly from a worn copy of Charlotte's Web. Ava had always liked the sound of Maya's voice, soothing, steady. As Mia reached the part where Charlotte spun her first web, Ava interrupted in a whisper. "Maya, yes, sweetheart? Am I going to be like Mama?" Maya froze. Her heart dropped like a stone. She set the book down and took Ava's hand gently. "No, baby. You're going to grow up and do amazing things. You're strong, just like your mama." Ava blinked slowly, processing the answer. But she was strong, too. And she still went away. Maya's voice caught, but she didn't let it break. "Sometimes strong people still get sick. But what matters is they never stop loving us. Your mama is still with you. Every time you laugh, every time you dream." Ava looked away, eyes fixed on the window. "I dreamed about a big tree. And she was there." Maya smiled softly. "That's the butterfly tree. You remember?" Ava nodded. From the doorway, Victor watched the exchange silently. He hadn't heard that story before, but something about the way Ava clung to Mia made his throat tighten. Later that evening, after Ava had fallen asleep, Victor gestured for Maya to join him in the hallway. "She asked me if she was going to die," Mia said quietly before he could speak. Victor sighed. "She's 5 and she's already seen more than most adults ever should." Maya nodded, then added, "She remembers, not just the hospital. Clarissa." The coldness. Victor leaned against the wall. "I keep thinking about everything I missed. The way Clarissa kept pushing me to keep working. Take the meetings. Stay late. I thought she was helping. Turns out she was making room for murder." "You trusted her," Maya said without accusation. "People like Clarissa are experts at slipping under the surface. They wear charm like armor." Victor looked at Maya, truly looked at her. Her tired eyes, the lines of stress etched on her young face, and the quiet strength in her voice. "She almost took everything from me," he murmured. "But you brought it back." Maya didn't respond right away. Then, "Victor, I need to tell you something." He straightened. "I've been through this before," she said. "Years ago back in Detroit. Different hospital, different child, but the same signs, contaminated meds, corner cutting. They blamed me then, too. Fired me before I could say a word. Threatened me if I spoke out." Victor was silent. "That's why I knew the smell," she continued. "The color, the reaction time. My sister, she didn't make it." Now, Victor understood why she'd screamed. Why she hadn't hesitated. "I've been trying to make it right ever since," Maya whispered. "Maybe that's why I stayed after Ava's first seizure. Maybe I saw something that reminded me of my sister. I don't know." Victor didn't try to offer comfort. He just stood there, the weight of her truth settling in beside his own. "They're going to offer you a settlement," he finally said. "The hospital to keep you quiet. I know you'll take it." Maya shrugged. "I might." Victor looked at her. "But not before I speak at the review board. Not before I tell them how easy it was for Clarissa to fake tears and how hard it was for me to scream truth and be heard." A flicker of something proud crossed Victor's face. "Then I'll be there." Sitting in the front row, the hospital's internal investigation continued. But the real consequences began outside its walls. Victor's legal team pressed charges against Dana Norville. Clarissa's arraignment was scheduled for the following week, and Victor had ensured that both women would face not just criminal accountability, but public exposure. Maya, in the meantime, was invited to speak at the annual medical ethics forum held at UCLA. At first, she declined, but Victor encouraged her to reconsider. "You've got a voice people need to hear," he said. "Not just caregivers, patients, people like Ava, people like your sister." On the night of the forum, Maya stood before a modest audience. Doctors, nurses, journalists, and administrators. Her palms were sweaty. Her voice shook at first, but when she looked out into the crowd and saw Victor and Ava beside him in a tiny dress, clutching a teddy bear, her courage found footing. "I was taught that if you see something wrong, you say something," Maya began. "But no one told me what to do when no one believes you or when they call you angry or accuse you of trying to stir trouble. No one warned me what it feels like to watch a child suffer while adults protect systems instead of people." She paused, but I said something anyway, and I'll keep saying it. The room was silent. No clapping, just reverence. And as she stepped down from the podium, Ava ran up to her and wrapped her arms around Maya's legs. "Everyone heard you," Ava whispered. Mia smiled. "Good. Then maybe they'll listen next time." By the end of the week, the media frenzy had returned. Victor Langston's name once again dominated the headlines, but this time not for IPOs or tech innovation. It was for the trial of his wife, now estranged, Clarissa Langston, and the shadowy conspiracy that had almost taken the life of his only child. There were whispers of hospital negligence, cover-ups, and the uncomfortable question no one wanted to answer: how many others had suffered silently under similar circumstances? Victor sat alone in his office on the top floor of Langston Technologies, staring at a half-written statement on his screen. He was supposed to issue a corporate response, something safe, sanitized, but his fingers hovered above the keys, unmoving. There was a knock. "Come in," he called. Maya stepped inside, holding a small folder. She looked out of place amid the minimalist marble and glass, but her presence grounded the space. "I got something," she said, handing him the folder. Victor opened it. Inside were photocopies of emails, schedule logs, badge entry records, all from Dana Norville's hospital account. She'd been letting Clarissa in after hours for weeks, Maya said. 3 times she accessed medical supplies at 2 a.m. when there was no record of a patient in that ward. Victor's jaw tightened. Why didn't this come out sooner? Because hospital admin didn't want it to. They hoped it would stop with Clarissa. Dana was a scapegoat. But there's more. She slid another paper across the table. A list of donation transactions, anonymized names hidden under layers of shell companies. One of them was Victor Langston's own foundation. Clarissa funneled hospital donations through your charitable wing, Maya explained. Used it to pay Dana under the table. Victor stared at the paper as if it were a ghost. She used me and my name. She used everything. Maya said, the system, the privilege, the silence. Victor leaned back. This goes deeper than either of us thought. Mia hesitated. I think the DA's office should see this. Victor nodded slowly. They will. Then, more softly, you could walk away. You know, you've done more than anyone could ask. Ava's safe. Clarissa's behind bars. You could move on. I could, Maya agreed. But then the next little girl might not be so lucky. A week later, the courtroom was full. Clarissa Langston sat at the defense table in a pale gray suit. Her hair pulled into a conservative bun. She looked like the picture of a wronged woman until the prosecution began unveiling the evidence. Maya sat behind the prosecutor, her heart pounding. She wasn't on the witness stand yet, but she knew her turn was coming. Beside her, Victor sat silently, face stone cold. The prosecution opened with surveillance footage. The now infamous video of Clarissa injecting the 4-line plate on the big screen. Gasps echoed through the room. But the real moment came when the paper trail was laid bare. The financial records, the badge logs, the phone metadata, and then it was Maya's turn. She stepped onto the stand, placed her hand on the Bible, and looked into the eyes of every juror. She looked like any other visitor, Maya began. She smiled, she cried, she held Ava's hand. But behind that smile, she carried a syringe. The defense tried to paint her as overzealous, emotional, even unstable. They brought up her history in Detroit, the accusations, the firing. But Maya didn't flinch. "I was blamed for trying to save another child once," she said, voice steady. "I promised myself I would never stay silent again." When the trial adjourned for the day, Maya stepped outside to a wall of microphones and flashing cameras. She had no intention of speaking. But as she turned to walk away, one reporter shouted, "Do you think the system is racist?" She stopped, then turned back. "I think the system is scared," she said. "Scared of loud black women, scared of truth, scared of being held accountable, and until that changes, children like Ava will keep getting hurt." Then she walked away, leaving behind silence heavier than applause. That night, Maya sat in the backyard garden of Victor's estate. Ava was asleep upstairs, and the evening breeze rustled the lemon trees softly. Victor joined her, setting down 2 mugs of tea. "You're making a lot of enemies," he said quietly. "I've had worse," Maya replied. He looked at her. "You're also making a few allies." She glanced over. "Like who?" Victor smiled faintly. "Me for one." They sat in silence for a moment, sipping tea. "I thought I had it all figured out," Victor said. "Power, money, control. But then I realized I couldn't even protect my own daughter. And it took a woman everyone overlooked to save her." Maya didn't respond right away. Then she said, "You weren't the only one who overlooked me." Victor nodded. "That's going to change." She looked up. "Is it?" He held her gaze. "It has to." And in that quiet moment, beneath the California stars, something unspoken passed between them. Not romance, not gratitude, but a recognition. A promise to never go back to silence, to never let the system stay broken just because it was comfortable, and to always, always believe the woman who dares to speak. The courtroom was quieter on the second day. The media had already run their headlines. The most salacious pieces were already being debated on morning shows and podcasts. But for Maya, this wasn't about sensationalism. It was about something more personal, more urgent. It was about the way people like her were made invisible until they screamed loud enough to be feared. She stood alone in the courthouse bathroom, staring at her own reflection. Her suit wasn't designer, and her makeup was simple, but her eyes, they were the eyes of someone who had survived fire and refused to become ash. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. Angela stood at the door, holding a warm bottle of water and a steady look. "They're almost ready for closing statements," she said. "You holding up?" Maya nodded. "As much as I can." Angela placed a hand on her shoulder. "You're not alone this time. No matter what they say." Back inside the courtroom, the defense doubled down. They painted Clarissa as a victim of emotional neglect. Overwhelmed by grief and isolated in a home where her voice was dismissed. Her attorney weaved a tale of desperation and irrational decisions made under stress. The word accidental was repeated over and over. Mia sat behind the prosecution, jaw tight. Then came the final nail. The defense introduced a witness, a former nanny, who claimed Mia once yelled at Ava in frustration, hinting at a pattern of volatile behavior. It was a lie, and Mia knew it. But the seed was planted. The prosecutor stood and objected, and the judge sustained it, but the damage was done. In the court of public opinion, impressions meant more than truth. Victor leaned toward Mia, whispering, "Don't let them shake you. They're grasping." She nodded but said nothing. As court adjourned for the day, Victor and Mia walked out the side entrance, trying to avoid cameras, but they were waiting. "Miss William, how do you respond to accusations of abuse?" a reporter shouted. Maya didn't flinch. "I respond by showing up every day. For Ava. For truth." The people throwing stones weren't there when she needed saving. She kept walking. That night, Victor called an emergency meeting with his legal team. They're trying to spin this into a he said she said mess. He growled. We need to hit back hard. One of the attorneys nodded. We can subpoena hospital staff, those who worked closely with Maya. Get character testimonies. No, Mia said, let them talk. Let them paint me. I'm not playing defense. Not anymore. Victor stared at her. You're sure? Maya looked him dead in the eye. I've spent too long trying to prove I belong in the room. Now I'm burning the door down. The next morning, Victor surprised everyone by walking Maya to the courthouse steps, holding her hand, not as a token, not as a symbol, but as someone who had finally understood what allyship looked like. He stepped up to the microphones. Good morning, he began, his voice calm but strong. My name is Victor Langston. I'm the father of Ava Langston, and I'm here to make one thing absolutely clear. Maya Williams saved my daughter's life. Period. The flashbulbs went wild. She was slandered, restrained, and nearly arrested for doing the right thing. He continued, and now, because she dared to speak truth, they're trying to rewrite her story. I won't let that happen. Not again. Reporters screamed questions, but he walked away without another word. Inside the courtroom, the prosecution began their closing. Ladies and gentlemen, the prosecutor said, pacing slowly. This is not about emotions. It's about actions. Clarissa Langston took deliberate, calculated steps to end a child's life. She knew what she was doing, and she nearly succeeded. The jury sat motionless. And who stood between that child and death? The prosecutor continued. Not a doctor, not a security system, a caregiver, a black woman who refused to stay quiet. He paused. And for that they tried to destroy her. He gestured to Maya. But you've seen the truth. Now you must decide if justice still means something in this room. The deliberation lasted 6 hours. Maya didn't sit still once. She paced the hallway like a storm waiting to break. Victor tried to calm her, but she wouldn't be stilled. And then finally, the bailiff called them back in. All rise, the judge announced. Clarissa sat straight-backed, perfectly composed. The jury foreperson stood. In the matter of attempted murder in the first degree, we find the defendant guilty. A sharp intake of breath echoed from Clarissa's side of the room. Victor closed his eyes. Maya exhaled slowly as if she had been holding that breath since the first moment Ava's vitals dropped. Clarissa was taken into custody immediately. Her composure cracked as the cuffs clicked around her wrists. Victor turned to Maya. You did it. Maya shook her head. We did. He paused, then asked, what now? She looked around the courtroom, the oak benches, the silent watchers, the tears and relief, and answered, now I speak louder. That night, after Ava was tucked into bed and the house had finally fallen into a hush, Mia sat on the back porch, watching the wind rustle through the garden. Victor joined her, bringing a blanket. Your voice, he said. It shook the walls today. Maya smiled faintly. Good, because I'm not done yet. He raised an eyebrow. What's next? She looked up at the stars. There are other hospitals, other kids, other voices being buried. I'm going to make sure mine stays loud enough for all of them. Victor nodded slowly. Then I'll make sure no one ever silences you again. Maya leaned back in the chair, closing her eyes for the first time in what felt like years. She wasn't afraid anymore. She had walked through the fire and come out still speaking. The conviction of Clarissa Langston made national news for another week. But like all media storms, it faded. What didn't fade was the echo left behind. People started asking harder questions about hospital protocols, corporate influence in medicine, and the invisible backbone of the caregiving world. Maya became a symbol, not by choice, but by necessity. One morning, Maya stood at the door of a modest community clinic in South Central Los Angeles. The red bricks were worn, the sign was faded, but the waiting room inside was full. Mothers, grandmothers, tired men with calloused hands. People who knew how to wait. Langston's people called again, Angela said, walking up behind her with a clipboard. What did they say this time? Maya asked, already half smiling. They want you to take a paid advisory position. National Health Policy Reform. Big office, big title. Mia raised an eyebrow. Let me guess. In Washington? Of course. Where else can they drown your voice in paperwork? Maya chuckled. I'll think about it after the leaky pipes in exam room 2 get fixed. Angela glanced toward the back hallway. About those pipes. Don't tell me they burst. Maya rubbed her temples. I just replaced the valves. They were from the 80s. Maya sighed. Added to the list, but before Angela could respond, a commotion erupted near the front desk. A woman was shouting, her voice high, cracked desperation laced with fury. You don't understand. My son can't breathe. He's wheezing. He needs help. Maya pushed past the chairs and found a young boy clinging to his mother's leg, eyes wide with panic, his chest rising and falling far too quickly. The receptionist looked overwhelmed. Get him to exam room 1 now, Maya ordered. Call Dr. Patel and bring the nebulizer kit. The mother followed in tears, murmuring, please, please don't let him die. Inside the exam room, Maya moved like instinct. She checked vitals, assessed airway obstruction, and adjusted the child's posture. Dr. Patel arrived seconds later, calm and efficient. We'll stabilize him, she said quietly. Outside, Maya stayed with the mother. She learned the boy's name, Malik. 6 years old. Lived in a neighborhood surrounded by chemical plants and old warehouses. No one listens when we complain, the mother said, wiping her face. They say we're exaggerating. I begged the school to keep his inhaler nearby, but the nurse said she wasn't authorized. Maya felt the now familiar rise of heat in her chest. Anger, not loud, not dramatic, but steady, like coals burning. When Malik's breathing returned to normal and his color returned, Maya let herself breathe, too. But her thoughts didn't quiet. That night, she sat in Victor Langston's office across from a large map of California marked with pins, each one representing a hospital under his foundation's influence. You've got reach, Maya said. What you don't have is accountability. Victor leaned forward. You came all this way to scold me? I came to propose something. He gestured for her to continue. You've got money, influence, media attention. I've got boots on the ground. Give me funding, full autonomy. Let me build a mobile unit, clinics that go where hospitals fail. Real equipment, real staff, no red tape. Victor studied her. You're asking me to fund a movement? No. Maya corrected. I'm asking you to fund justice. Delivered 1 block at a time. He leaned back. And if I say yes, then we don't name it after you, Maya said. We name it after the voices that were ignored. Victor chuckled softly. Still not interested in fame? Not interested in forgetting. He nodded once. You'll have the funds by Monday. Maya stood, extending her hand. Then let's get to work. 2 months later, a bright blue van with silver trim rolled through Compton, Englewood, East LA. On the side of the van, bold white letters read the Butterfly Tree Project. Beneath it, a quote, they tried to silence us. Now we roll with sirens. Inside, Maya and Angela work side by side with 2 nurses and a pediatric specialist. Malik and his mother became volunteers, handing out flyers, helping families navigate enrollment. One afternoon, as they packed up after a long day, Ava Langston arrived with Victor. The little girl wore a t-shirt with a butterfly painted across it, her hair in neat braids, her eyes bright. Maya! She cried, running forward. Maya knelt and opened her arms. Hey, sunshine! Victor smiled from the sidewalk. She begged me to come see the van. Maya laughed. Well, now she's part of the team. Ava looked up. Can I help, too? Always, Maya said. There's always someone who needs a voice. Later, as the sun set behind the city skyline, Mia sat on the steps of the van, watching kids play on the sidewalk. Their laughter echoed down the block, untouched by the weight of the world. Angela joined her, sipping from a thermos. You think it's enough? Maya didn't answer right away. Then she said, It's not, but it's a start. Angela looked out toward the horizon. Funny how a poison four-line turned into this. Maya's voice was soft but certain. Funny how truth always finds its way to bloom, even through concrete. And as the streetlights flickered on one by one, the butterfly tree stayed parked, its doors open, its lights warm, and its voice now louder than ever, refusing to be silenced. The butterfly tree project had grown faster than Maya expected. 3 mobile units now served across Southern California, with new routes opening in Oakland and Fresno. Donations poured in from unexpected places: retired nurses, former patients, school teachers, even anonymous checks with handwritten notes. You gave me back my child. This is all I can give. Maya was still adjusting to the momentum. Between organizing routes, training new volunteers, and speaking at health equity forums, she barely had time to breathe. Yet, every time she heard a mother cry in relief, or watched a child's chest ease after treatment, she remembered why she had chosen this path. But not everyone was pleased. One rainy Tuesday morning, Maya arrived at the clinic's temporary HQ, a converted church basement in Long Beach, and found 2 men in suits waiting for her near the entrance. Miss William, one of them asked, flashing a badge. We're with the Department of Health Oversight. Maya stepped out of the rain, removing her hood. Can I help you? We received a report, the second man said. Concerns regarding improper disposal of medical waste and expired medications being used. Maya blinked. That's not possible. We follow strict protocols. We'll need to conduct a full audit. The first man said, effective immediately. Your funding partner, Langston Foundation, has already been notified. She stared at them. The rain dripped from her coat onto the floor. Who filed the report? I'm afraid we can't disclose that, he said. But Maya already had her suspicion. The report wasn't about safety. It was about sabotage. 2 hours later, Victor Langston called her from his New York office. I just heard, he said. I've got people checking on the authenticity of that complaint. I know who sent it, Mia said. Clarissa. No, Mia replied, pacing the small hallway of the church. She's in prison. But she had allies, people who resented what we exposed, people who lost power when the system cracked. Victor was quiet for a long moment. Then do you want me to push back legally? No. Maya said, let them audit. Let them walk through every file, every shelf. They won't find a single thing wrong. Victor exhaled. You sure? I built this house, right, Victor? She said, and I'm not afraid of people who hide behind paper. The audit took 5 days. Inspectors combed through everything. Inventory logs, volunteer backgrounds, patient records, even storage temperatures. Maya answered every question calmly, even when they turned passive-aggressive. You sure someone without a medical degree should be leading this project? One asked. Maya smiled without flinching. My title is director, not surgeon. And I built this to serve, not to satisfy egos. In the end, the audit report was clear. No violations. All protocols exceeded standard expectations, but the smear had worked. A few major donors paused contributions. A pediatrician dropped out of the Oakland unit. Parents called with frightened voices, asking if their children were safe. Maya stood in the empty hallway of the Fresno mobile van that night, reading the final line of the audit report again and again, cleared with no further action required. It should have felt like a win, but it didn't, because she knew the next attack wouldn't come through the front door. Days later, Angela called her into the back room of the Long Beach HQ. You need to see this, she said, pointing at her laptop. Mia read the screen, a blog post written anonymously claiming that Maya had used her past in Detroit to manipulate a grieving billionaire and that her entire project was built on white guilt and performative heroism. It was vicious, personal, targeted. Angela looked at her, waiting for the reaction. Maya didn't move. Then she said quietly, "Post it." Angela blinked. "What?" My response? Maya said, "Let's stop playing defense." That night, Maya recorded a video. One take. No script. Just her face, her voice, her truth. "I'm not going to pretend I'm perfect," she said. "I've made mistakes. I've been fired. I've been silenced. But everything I've done to save children who were ignored because of where they lived or the color of their skin or the size of their parents' bank account." She leaned forward slightly. "You can attack me. You can audit me. You can write about me. But what you won't do is stop me because I didn't come here to be liked. I came here to make sure no little girl lies dying while everyone's too busy protecting their image." By morning, the video had over 1 million views. By noon, she'd been invited to speak at the National Pediatric Advocacy Summit in Chicago. Parents shared her video with the caption, "This woman saved my child." Even Ava's kindergarten class watched the video, and when Victor picked her up, she told him proudly, "Maya's on the phone. She's famous again." That evening, as the sun fell over the city, Mia stood alone on the rooftop of her apartment, watching the city breathe beneath her. The sirens, the buses, the distant music from a street performer. Angela joined her, handing over a thermos of tea. "They're not going to stop," she said. "I don't need them to stop," Mia replied. "I just need to keep going." Angela nodded. "So what now?" Maya looked out at the skyline. "Now we expand. We find new cities, new kids. We don't wait for hospitals to come around. We drive straight through their gates." Angela raised her cup to fire through the cracks. Maya raised hers to light they can't control. And beneath them, the city kept humming. Alive, imperfect, but slowly changing because one woman refused to be quiet, because one little girl survived. Because justice had found wheels. The wind rolled hard across the bay as Maya stepped off the train into Oakland. The early spring air carried the scent of diesel and damp soil, both oddly familiar. The Butterfly Tree's newest mobile unit, painted in navy blue and trimmed in silver, sat parked near a worn-out community center in the heart of East Oakland. Flanked by graffiti-tagged buildings and the muffled echo of a city trying to remember its own story. Maya adjusted her backpack and walked toward the van. She hadn't slept much in the last 48 hours. Calls, interviews, coordination. But this was the part that made everything worth it. Showing up in person. No headlines, no scripts. Angela greeted her at the door, her sleeves rolled up and a clipboard tucked under her arm. "You're early," she said, raising an eyebrow. "Can't sleep when my name's trending," Mia replied with a dry grin. Angela didn't laugh. "We've got a situation." Mia's face shifted. "What kind of situation?" Local clinic down the block filed a formal complaint. Said we're disrupting established care systems and poaching patients. Maya's jaw tensed. Disrupting care systems. Half the kids here haven't seen a pediatrician in a year. "I know," Angela said. "But they're threatened. We've made them look bad and they've got friends on the city council." Maya leaned against the van and looked out at the line already forming, mothers with strollers, teens coughing into their jackets, elders leaning on canes. "Then let's give them something worth fighting," she said quietly. Inside the van, Maya helped administer basic screenings while Angela prepped new files. Dr. Patel was finishing an asthma treatment for a 10-year-old named Jaleel when the door opened and a tall man in a charcoal suit stepped in, flashing a badge. "Good morning," he said. "I'm Councilman Brent Reeves. I'm here to observe." Maya stood. "With or without a warrant?" He smiled, feigning innocence. "This is a public service. Isn't that what you're calling it?" Mia gestured toward the row of children waiting with their parents. That's right. We serve people your clinics forgot. Reeves stepped closer. You're building a following, Miss William. People are starting to think you're untouchable. That concerns some of us. She didn't flinch. Then maybe you should be more concerned about the fact that East Oakland has the highest child asthma rate in the state. He studied her a moment longer. Then, with a practiced smirk, he turned and left. Angela whispered, "That man oozes bad news." Ma exhaled. Then it's time we shine a light under his shoes. That evening, Maya and Angela sat in the back of a small diner, pie crusts flaking onto their plates as a local reporter took notes. "So, you're saying the city is quietly trying to shut you down?" the reporter asked, adjusting her glasses. "I'm saying they're doing it with smiles and forms instead of chains and threats," Maya said. "But the goal is the same. Make us go away." Angela nodded. "They don't want us to succeed because if we do, it exposes how badly they failed." The reporter glanced down at her notes. "Off record, do you think someone's funding this opposition?" Maya paused. "If I had to guess, it's not just politics. There's money involved. Medical contracts, pharmaceutical incentives. These communities are gold mines for low-effort, high-bill practices." "We interrupt that." The reporter tapped her pen. "That's going in the piece." "Good," Maya said. "Let it burn." 2 days later, the piece dropped. "The Butterfly War, When Care Threatens Profit." It went viral within hours. News networks called. State health boards began requesting audits, not on Mia's team this time, but on the very clinics that had been quietly attacking them. Anonymous whistleblowers came forward. And just like that, the ground shifted. But the battle wasn't over. One night, after closing down the van, Maya returned to her motel and found the room door ajar. Her heart thudded. She pushed the door open slowly. The lamp was knocked over. Her bag had been rifled through. Nothing major stolen, but it wasn't about theft. It was a warning. Angela arrived minutes later, eyes wide. "You okay?" "I'm fine," Maya said. "But now we go public." "You sure?" "They want silence. We give them sound." The next morning, Maya held a press conference outside Oakland City Hall with reporters lined along the steps and parents and children gathered behind her. She stepped up to the mic. "Someone broke into my room last night," she began. "They didn't steal anything, just made a mess, sent a message." She looked into the cameras, her voice steady, "But I don't respond to whispers in the dark. I respond with truth. And here's the truth. What we're doing with the butterfly tree is saving lives. If that scares you, good. It means we're doing it right." Applause erupted behind her. "I won't be intimidated. I won't be silenced. And I won't stop until every child in every neighborhood knows their life matters." That night, Maya sat on the hood of the van, watching the stars blink above the city. Angela joined her, holding 2 paper cups of coffee. "You think they'll try again?" Angela asked. "Probably," Mia said. Angela nodded. "We need more security. We need more light," Maya replied. "And we're going to build it." Angela chuckled. "You're not tired yet, are you?" Maya looked out at the skyline, her voice low and fierce. "I didn't survive fire just to dim down for comfort." And beneath the van's headlights in a city that once forgot its children, Maya made a silent promise. They could throw shadows. She would bring fire. The next Monday brought an invitation Maya almost tossed in the trash. A formal letter with a gold seal, mailed, not emailed, from the Office of Public Health Strategy and Innovation in Sacramento. She scanned the first line. "You are invited to participate in a closed-door policy forum to discuss community-based healthcare models for underserved populations." Maya squinted. "Forum?" She muttered. Translation: keep your mouth moving but your hands tied. Angela glanced over from her desk. "What's that?" Maya handed her the letter. Angela read, then arched a brow. They're scared of you. Maybe, Mia said. Or maybe they're trying to trap me in red tape. Angela set the letter down. So, what are you going to do? Maya thought for a moment, then smiled. I'm going to bring the tape cutter. Sacramento's Capitol building loomed tall and pale. Its polished marble and manicured lawns a stark contrast to the cracked sidewalks and worn bricks Maya had walked in Oakland just the day before. She stepped into the grand rotunda, her hair braided neatly, wearing a plain gray blazer over black slacks. No flashy pins, no corporate nameplate, just purpose. Inside the chamber, officials, consultants, and advisors murmured quietly over catered breakfast. When Maya entered, the murmurs stopped. Miss William. A tall man with a square jaw and tightly combed hair approached her. I'm Director Glenworth of the OPHSI. Thank you for accepting our invitation. Maya shook his hand. I'm here to listen and speak. He gave a tight smile. Of course. We're hoping for a constructive exchange. Translation, don't embarrass us. The forum began with PowerPoints and hollow statistics. 98% efficiency in care delivery systems. Reducing patient-provider ratio discrepancies by fiscal year 2026. Improved accessibility through digitized intake protocols. Maya stayed silent through the first hour. Then a woman in pearls asked, Miss William, your project has garnered national attention, but some question its sustainability. What do you say to those critics? Maya stood. She didn't walk to the podium. She didn't need one. I say that sustainability means nothing if you're building on broken ground. She let that hang in the air. Our model isn't perfect. But it's fast, it's mobile, and it's trusted. That's why it works. You can have $1 million building and still lose lives if no one inside it listens. Men. Glenworth cleared his throat. And your proposal is? Fund 5 new mobile units statewide, not grants for more studies, not pilot programs, action, real care, where people already are. A short woman with sharp glasses interrupted. How do we verify impact without standardized metrics? Maya replied without blinking. How do you measure the worth of a child who doesn't die? Silence, and then slow clapping from the back of the room. Everyone turned. Victor Langston stepped forward, dressed in a charcoal suit, his presence commanding but quiet. I came today not as a billionaire, he said. But as a father. My daughter is alive because Maya William acted when others hesitated. If you want proof of impact, start there. He met their eyes. Or ask the 1,000 families served by the Butterfly Tree Project in just 3 months. Glenworth coughed politely. Mr. Langston, while your support is admirable, we need long-term policy. Victor stepped closer. Then stop calling it admirable. Start calling it necessary. After the forum, Maya walked outside into the bright Sacramento afternoon, the sun bouncing off the Capitol dome like a spotlight. Victor caught up with her at the steps. They weren't ready for you. They never are, Maya said. They're going to offer something, he added. They'll want to create a commission or an advisory council. No, I don't want to be in a room giving advice that no one follows, Mia said. I want boots on the ground, vans on the streets. Victor nodded. Then let's give them a reason to follow. Back in Oakland that evening, Maya met with the local Butterfly Tree team. Volunteers gathered in a circle in the parking lot behind the van. They were tired but smiling. Big win today? Angela asked, handing Mia a bottle of water. Not a win, Maya said. A shift. She looked at the circle of faces. Nurses, parents, translators, high school students running outreach tables. They want to watch us now, Maya continued. Fine, let them, but we don't slow down. We push harder. The group nodded, energized. Luis, the teenage volunteer, raised his hand. Can we expand into San Bernardino? My cousin lives there. No pediatric care for miles. Maya smiled. That's what I want to hear. Later that night, as Maya walked to her car, her phone buzzed, a number she didn't recognize. She answered, "Maya William." A low voice came through. "You don't know me, but I know what you're doing, and I know who's trying to stop you." Mia's grip tightened on the phone. "Who is this?" "They call themselves the Coalition," the voice said. "A network of private contractors, hospital board members, insurance brokers. They're not afraid of you yet, but they will be." Maya glanced around the dark lot, her instincts kicking in. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I used to work with them," the voice said. "And because the next attack won't be political. It'll be personal." Then the line went dead. Maya stood in the silence, the weight of the words pressing into her bones. The world around her hadn't changed, but she had. She was no longer a voice crying out. She was the movement itself, and now they were coming for her. Not because she was weak, but because she was winning. She looked up at the stars, then whispered to herself, "Let them come." Maya didn't sleep that night. She sat on the floor of her apartment, a notebook in her lap, phone on the charger beside her, and a half-drunk cup of tea cooling next to her knee. The voice on the call echoed in her head like an unsolved riddle. The next attack won't be political. It'll be personal. What did that mean? Who was the Coalition? Was it a bluff, a scare tactic, or something worse? A warning she couldn't afford to ignore. At sunrise, Maya got dressed, tied her braids into a low knot, and drove to the Butterfly Tree's Oakland van early. The city was still rubbing the sleep from its eyes, and the streets were nearly empty. She parked 2 blocks away and walked the rest of the distance, scanning every car, every shadow. Angela was already there, sipping black coffee from a chipped mug. She looked up and raised an eyebrow. "You look like you saw a ghost." "I think I heard one," Maya said, unlocking the van. Angela followed her in, pulling the blinds and flipping on the overhead lights. "Spill it." Mia told her everything. The voice, the warning, the implication of something deeper, coordinated, possibly dangerous. Angela listened without interrupting, then exhaled. "Okay, worst case scenario, they try to frame you." "Or worse." Maya nodded. "Best case. They keep trying to discredit us, undermine our work." Angela walked over to the storage cabinet and pulled out a battered metal lockbox. Inside were hard drives, backup folders, and a flash drive with everything Maya had: proof of impact, audit trails, recorded threats, medical testimonies. "We keep this off-site now," Angela said. "Somewhere locked down. And from now on, we rotate staff locations. No one alone ever." Mia touched the box. "We also need someone watching Ava." Angela's eyes darkened. "You think they'd target a child?" "They already tried once," Mia said. "I'm not betting on their restraint." By noon, Victor Langston was on a secure video call with Maya. "They called me last night," he said, eyes hollow. "Didn't identify themselves, but they hinted that your background would be the next thing on the news, the Detroit incident." Maya's face tightened. "You think I should back away?" she asked quietly. Victor shook his head. "I think you should lean in harder. I didn't build my empire by walking away from threats. I built it by making sure when they hit, I hit harder." "They'll drag your name into it," Maya said. Victor smirked. "My name's already in it. Let's just make sure it's for the right reasons." That evening, a panel interview on a major news network was scheduled. Maya had agreed days earlier, thinking it would be a platform to talk about expansion, but now she braced herself for something different. The studio lights were harsh. The host, sleek and practiced, smiled too politely as the camera rolled. "Tonight, we're joined by Maya William, founder of the Butterfly Tree Project," the host began. "But before we begin, we must ask, new reports have surfaced questioning your past professional conduct. Would you like to address that first?" Maya took a slow breath. "I was a nurse in Detroit. A black child came in bleeding, unconscious. I acted on instinct. The child lived, but I bypassed protocol. I was fired. That's the truth. The host pressed. But doesn't that history call your current work into question? Maya leaned forward. If anything, it proves why I'm doing what I'm doing. That child didn't have time for red tape. Neither do the kids I serve now. The host blinked. You're not denying it. I'm owning it, Mia said. And I'll do it again if it means saving a life. The audience clapped. Even the host looked momentarily caught off guard. After the show, Mia stepped outside into the night air where Angela was waiting beside the van. You blew the roof off, she said. They'll spin it by morning, Maya replied. But we'll be ready. Just then, a young woman approached them timidly. She had short hair, a faded hoodie, and eyes full of something Mia recognized, a need to be heard. Miss William? The woman asked. I'm Carla. I used to work admin at West Point Medical. Mia turned fully toward her. Yes? Carla looked over her shoulder nervously. I know about the coalition. I wasn't supposed to know. I heard things. Meetings, payments, digital scrub teams. They called it Operation Soot. It's real and you're on their list. Angela stepped closer, protective. Do you have proof? Carla pulled out a small flash drive. It's encrypted, but it's all there. Transfers, emails, audio logs. Maya took the drive gently. Why are you giving this to us? Because someone has to, Carla whispered. They think no one will listen to someone like me. Maya held her gaze. I will. That night, back in the van's command center, Maya and Angela worked late, unlocking the files. The first email subject line made Mia's blood run cold. MW Exposure Protocol, initiate character breach by Q3. A list followed names, headlines pre-drafted, doctored timelines of her past, and then photos, surveillance stills of Maya, of Ava, of the mobile vans. Angela swore under her breath. This isn't just politics. This is organized warfare. Maya stared at the screen, her hand slowly clenched into a fist. We go public, she said. Angela looked up. All of it? All of it. And just like that, Maya's path became clear. The fight wasn't just for healthcare anymore. It was for truth, for protection, for freedom from a machine that operated in shadows. And in that moment, as the screens glowed with digital evidence and danger loomed louder than ever, Maya didn't feel fear. She felt fury because they had underestimated her again. And this time, she would show them exactly what happens when a black woman dares to rise and refuses to fall. 2 days later, the world changed. The files Carla had given them weren't just evidence. They were a weapon. And Maya wielded them with precision. She contacted an independent investigative outlet known for exposing corruption, the Watchlight Journal. Their editors met her and Angela in an underground cafe. Phones in Faraday bags, laptops encrypted. By dawn, the Watch had everything. We're verifying every detail, the lead editor said. But this is bigger than we imagined. They didn't just target you. They built entire campaigns to discredit health workers, silence dissenters, manipulate funding. This is systemic. Maya sat still. The noise of the cafe blurring around her. How long until you publish? 72 hours. Make it 48. Mia said, I've already lost time. We don't have more to spare. Angela leaned in. We'll need protection. They know we have this. The editor nodded. We have sources in the bureau. If this holds, it won't just be a story. It'll be a federal investigation. Back in Oakland, Maya addressed the team. She gathered them in the back parking lot beneath the humming lights where the scent of engine oil and lemon disinfectant mixed with night air. We've been fighting to keep kids alive, she said, her voice clear. Now we're fighting to stay alive ourselves. Gasps, murmurs, but no one backed away. She continued, they tried to break us in silence. We're about to make noise they can't contain. Angela stepped forward. We're not asking anyone to take risks. If you need to step back, we understand, but no one moved. Luis, the teenage volunteer, raised his hand. What do you need us to do? Maya smiled, her eyes glistening. Stay loud. Stay smart. Stay visible. The article dropped 43 hours later. Headline: Operation Soot, the secret war on America's street healers. It tore through the internet like a wildfire in dry brush. Thousands of shares, millions of views. Newscasters scrambled to confirm sources. Former insiders came forward. A nurse from Arizona. A whistleblower from a medical board in Pennsylvania. Even a retired senator wrote a public letter. I feared this was happening. I lacked the proof. Maya Williams gave us the proof. Maya's name became a symbol, but not everyone praised her. Online trolls accused her of race baiting. Anonymous threats piled into her inbox. You think you're a hero? You're just another manipulator. Go back to cleaning floors. A dead nurse can't treat anyone. Angela changed all their locks. Victor hired private security. Ava was moved quietly to a new school with heightened protocols. Still, Mia pressed on. A week later, Maya testified before a congressional subcommittee in D.C. It was a room filled with polished wood and old power. Senators sat behind wide desks, hands folded, expressions neutral. Maya stood in her simple gray suit. No makeup, no jewelry, just her voice and her truth. I was fired for saving a black child, she began, then framed for trying to kill another. And when that didn't silence me, they came for my name, my family, and the children I serve. But here I am. She lifted a stack of printed documents, emails, surveillance logs, doctored reports. This is what fear of justice looks like. These are the tools they use. But here's what they didn't count on: me surviving. Gasps, whispers, cameras flashed. Senator Ramirez leaned forward. Miss Williams, what do you want from this committee? Maya looked her dead in the eye. I want acknowledgement. I want protection for health workers on the ground. I want funding to expand what we've started. And I want an end to the coalition and every hand that fed it. Ramirez nodded. And if we say no, Maya didn't blink. Then I'll do it without you. I already have. The session aired live across America. Viewers watched a black woman stand against a system designed to grind people like her down. The next morning, Maya received a handwritten note slid under her hotel door. No more shadows. You've made it to the light. They'll fight dirtier now. Be ready. No signature. But she knew the hand behind it. Carla somewhere in the silence. She was still watching. Back in Oakland, things moved fast. State health departments suspended contracts tied to coalition members. Audits began. Anonymous donations to the butterfly tree doubled overnight. A major university reached out to partner on mobile training programs. And Maya, she went back to the van. That's where she felt most grounded. One afternoon, as she wrapped a child's bandage and handed him a sticker, he looked up at her and whispered, "Are you the lady from television?" Maya chuckled, "Maybe." "You're braver than Spider-Man," he said. She paused, and for the first time in weeks, she let herself feel joy. Not relief, not victory, just pure undiluted joy. That night, Angela brought over 2 plastic containers of greasy takeout, plopped on Maya's couch, and said, "So, you going to run for mayor or what?" Maya laughed. "God, no." Angela raised an eyebrow. "But seriously, what now?" Maya leaned back, eyes to the ceiling. "We stabilize. We expand. We protect the people who can't protect themselves. And if they come again, we shine brighter." Angela finished. Maya nodded. "Exactly." They clinked plastic chopsticks together like champagne glasses. And outside the window, Oakland buzzed with life. A city wounded but waking up. A woman targeted but triumphant. a truth once buried, now standing tall in the sun. The butterfly tree vans rolled out earlier than usual that morning. A streak of navy blue and silver threading through the fog-softened streets of Fresno. Maya guided the vehicle down a side street where groups of parents had gathered beneath a battered playground structure. She smiled at the scene. This was why she moved forward. Despite everything, they were kicking off the Health on Wheels Fellowship, a new program pairing local youth with professional mentors in nursing, EMT work, and community organizing, an evolving nod to legacy programs like UMA in South LA, where health education and peer leadership are woven into care delivery. Angela handed Mia a clipboard. Registrations double what we expected and growing. Mia replied, proud and wary in the same breath. The first fellow, a college sophomore named Elena, approached. Miss William, my mom's been saying your project saved her during COVID. I want to do that, too. Maya's heart swelled. Then you're starting in the right place. Let me show you the kit. Meanwhile, the van door opened at 9 a.m. and the team rolled across town into a neighborhood with cracked sidewalks, shuttered storefronts, and a long-abandoned clinic. They handed out childcare-friendly preventive services, flu shots, asthma checks, medical referrals. Their model echoed the innovative community command strategies from Detroit's mobile health units delivering primary, dental, behavioral care in underserved zones Central City. As they finished, a local organizer from the housing block joined them. Your mobile unit just changed our corner. She smiled. Parents are actually planning around your schedule now. Maya nodded. That's what we build. Not who shows up, but who shows up for us. Later, the team ventured through farm labor camps, a stretch of trailers hidden beneath orchards. There they met Jose, who'd had untreated hypertension for years. Maya and Olivia worked bedside under the orchard's dappled shade. Gracias, but there's no clinic for miles, Jose whispered. Mia sat beside him. We're not the only van coming, she assured. And you matter. Right here. These mobile clinics weren't new. They mirrored frameworks like the Children's Health Fund's national network, integrating primary, mental, and dental care via mobile units. But the butterfly tree carried grit, identity, and catalytic trust. As sunset smeared across the valley, Mia parked at the top of a hill overlooking the city. Elena joined her, notebook in hand. You'll speak next at the Regional Health Board, Maya told her. Show people how people like you build this. Elena's eyes widened. Me? Because I don't disappear, Maya answered. I stand tall. And so do you. They sat in silence before Angela returned with coffee. Board wants data, she said. If we show them today's numbers, admissions, screenings, we can argue for permanent funding. Maya nodded. Then we give them data and stories, the kind only you and I can collect walking these streets. Angela smiled. Then we get back to work. The vans rolled out again under growing starlight. Behind them, footprints of trust, streaks of hope, and seeds planted in dirt, quiet convictions becoming roots for something larger than any single driver. Because healthcare isn't just medicine, it's a promise. And across crooked streets, broken clinics, and weary eyes, that promise was being kept. And it was just beginning. The morning sun painted the streets of Fresno in gold as the butterfly tree vans roamed out. Now a fleet of 5, each with logos fresh and mission unchanged. On this Tuesday, they were headed toward the city's southern edge, where rolling vineyards meet aging apartments and clinics are as rare as affordable rent. Maya rode in the lead van alongside Elena and Angela. Elena was still buzzing from the responsibility of mentoring new fellows. Angela was reviewing the latest outreach data. Maya gazed out at the rows of grapevines, carefully tended, yielding fruit, a reminder that growth often begins from careful planting. They pulled into a dusty lot behind a community center. Parents waited under a chain-link fence, toddlers dragging blankets. Elena hopped out and greeted them with a bright smile. Inside the van, a local school nurse joined them. Over half the kids who wandered in today screened positive for untreated asthma. She shared softly. No refills, no follow-up. Maya's heart clenched. Not enough. We must reach more. They set up quickly basic screenings, immunizations, asthma checks, controlled chaos, earnest compassion. As the clock ticked, the line moved. Each child who walked away healthier left Maya a little lighter, a little more assured. After lunch, local elder Mrs. Ramirez approached, her face lined with fatigue and resilience. "My grandson hasn't had a checkup in 3 years," she said, voice low. "You're the angel they sent me, May." In that simple exchange, mask off, eyes soft, that moment validated every sacrifice, every risk. "The harvest is here because we dared to sow." That afternoon, as they packed down, a young man in a reflective vest approached. He introduced himself as Marcus, a city planner. "You've changed traffic near here," he said. "Families come on foot for miles. The clinics are rearranging neighborhoods for the better." Maya nodded. Care becomes infrastructure when people plan by need. Marcus offered his card. "If you want to expand routes, I can help." Sunlight softened as they accepted another ally planted. Evening found Maya parked on a ridgeline overlooking the city. Digesting data today: 150 visits, 40 vaccinations, 25 chronic disease follow-ups, 12 new fellows signed on. Each number whispered impact. Each life, a story. Angela handed her a notebook with scribbled testimonies. "My daughter sleeps better now. We don't drive 2 hours anymore. You told me she'd be okay, and she was." Tears blurred her vision, not from fatigue, but from the weight of trust. Elena spoke softly. "You told me I could speak up. Now I do." Maya placed a hand on her shoulder. "And that changes everything." They sat through sunset, Van idle, hearts full. On the drive back to Oakland that night, Victor called. His voice was quiet, almost reverent. "You built it," he said. 5 vans, hundreds of lives." Maya answered simply. "We grew it." His pause was heavy with gratitude. "Tomorrow, I'll speak in Congress again in Health and Human Services." "Not asking, sharing what works." She exhaled. "Let's keep planting." He replied, "Always." And on the road, headlights long behind them, the Butterfly Tree Project rolled into the night, its roots deepening, its wings spreading, serving as both lifeline and promise for communities ready to flourish. Under the gold-pink morning sky of Sacramento, Maya held tightly to her phone as she listened to an official voice on the other end. It was HRSA, the Health Resources and Services Administration, the federal body funding mobile health outreach across the nation. They were asking to connect. She stepped onto the balcony outside a community meeting room and looked out over the Capitol grounds. The state had gotten behind her. But this was something bigger. The voice confirmed that funds were being allocated for 5 pilot mobile clinics modeled on the butterfly tree. Priority would go to underserved areas with chronic care deserts. OMA Community Clinic in South LA was a leading candidate alongside additional sites in Fresno, Detroit's urban periphery, and Houston's neighborhood clinics. For the first time, federal dollars were routing through grassroots grit. As Maya hung up, her chest felt both lighter and heavier. This was validation, but also a mantle of responsibility. Later that morning, she joined Victor and Angela in the conference room. Angela had tabulated the funding request equivalent to launching 5 more vans statewide with operational support for 2 years. "You've made it happen," Victor said, his voice soft with pride and urgency. "Now we scale," Maya nodded. "With care and accountability, May." Angela added, "We can partner nationally. You know, network models like Children's Health Fund with over 50 mobile units across 23 programs." Maya let that image sink in. A coast-to-coast ripple rooted in compassion. Back in Oakland, the team gathered in the van when the first official grant check was delivered, enough to fund 1 full unit for 2 years. Elena took the envelope with trembling hands. "This is for real." Maya clapped her on the shoulder. "And it's trust in our work. Don't ever forget that." Angela chimed in. "We now officially deliver care backed by HRSA's Maternal and Child Health Services block, appropriate given our focus around them." The city pulsed, traffic lights clicking at 4 p.m., children climbing off buses, workers filing onto trains home from night shifts. Maya took a breath. Let's talk new focus for the next expansion. Luis, the teen fellow, spoke up. There's a high school near here with a dropout rate over 30%. Their school nurse is part-time. We could base Unit 2 right there. Offer healthcare and mentorship. Maya's eyes flooded. School-based mobile care. Yes. Like SPHC models from Cambridge and Dallas in the 70s that reduced nurse shortages and improved outcomes. They mapped it out on the hood of the van. Unit 2 based at West Oakland High, offering school-based health services integrated with preventive parental workshops. Weeks later, Maya was back in D.C. speaking to a coalition of federal healthcare leaders and legislators. Mobile clinics aren't just patches, she told them. They are arteries of equitable, grounded care. Investment returns. Publicly funded mobile clinics deliver value-based care, save lives, and reduce costs. Harvard's data shows over 3,200 life years saved and over $235 million returned on investment. There was nodding in the room, some skeptical, most thoughtful. A congresswoman raised a hand. Will you partner with our office to embed these units in federal school health funding? Maya didn't blink. With gratitude, because every missing heartbeat is a matter for policy. Back in the field, as the fifth van rolled out to downtown Stockton, rolling through neighborhoods with roof tiles sleeping under drought-hazed sun, Maya reflected on the road traveled. This was no longer just her fight. It was a movement. Under a spindly maple, locals gathered. Migrant workers, small shopkeepers, seniors. A nurse administered flu shots to a mother cradling twins. A counselor held space for a teenage mom's tears. A volunteer offered Spanish forms and translations.